Thank you all so much for joining us. We have Erin Vassilopoulos. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
And Ani Mesa, Alessandra Mesa, Jake Hoffman, and Pico Alexander. For Superior, a nice family fun thriller for everyone to enjoy. Erin, I want to start with you. You know, Superior is kind of, is it safe to say it's kind of a sequel to the short you did, or like a spiritual sequel of sorts? But what was it that made you want to tell this very specific kind of story about twins, or even just siblings in general, and why the 80s? I mean, that's that's like those are
a lot of
key
questions
things.
rolled up in one. Yeah, I mean, the feature was definitely inspired by the short that also starred Ani and Alessandra, and we made that, premiered at Sundance back in 2015. And then a few years later, we had such a good experience making the short together, and we all wanted to work together again. So Alessandra and I eventually sort of teamed up to sort of expand on the world of the short. And we didn't want to just like turn the short into a feature. Ani and Ali played teenage twins in the short, so part of that was logistical because they're adults now. But we were more excited about creating a jump in time. So the feature picks up with the same twin sisters 6 years later. So it's kind of like the short's kind of like a prologue to the feature, I've been saying. And in terms of the 80s, it's a good question. The short wasn't specifically 80s, but it kind of had this timeless, like anywhere, anytime feel. So we definitely wanted to continue that sort of that aesthetic. But I mean, I was born in the early 80s, and although I was a kid during that time, I'm definitely sort of attached to the 80s. I also wanted the film to have a lot of texture in it. Shot on film, we shot on Super 16 film. And yeah, I think it's very textural, and there's a lot of like VHS and tapes in the film. Also, it's very musically driven, and I really love music from the early 80s and knew that I wanted to sort of be able to tap into that style of like kind of post-punk music.
Yeah.
So that also
went cool. And Ani and Alessandra, you know, besides being twins, obviously, how did you connect with the story, and how much of your own relationship and your, you know, siblinghood did you put into your performances and just even the story in general?
You want to
go? Sure. First of all, it was really fun to imagine where these characters were going to be in a hypothetical 6 years later. So that was like immediately a very just exciting thing for us to jump into. And as far as our own relationship, I mean, it informed a lot. And I think, you know, our relationship is always going to be there when we're acting together, which is kind of unavoidable in a good way, I think. And it's interesting. We've talked about this a lot. We feel like our characters in a way are ourselves kind of like inverted and exaggerated. So like our kind of like relationship dynamic is kind of flipped in the movie, which was really an interesting challenge for us.
Yeah, I think that also gave us a sense of catharsis in a different way, because we were able to kind of recreate some arguments or like some, you know, things that we've been through in our life in a flipped lens. And I was able to empathize with my sister in a different way because I was able to get in her shoes and really get married to her point of view. So yeah, in a lot of ways it was the reversal of our dynamic. And then in some ways it's not, you know, in some ways they're just totally separate people from us in a lot of ways. So, but I do think that when you have siblings, or really when you're working with anyone, your history with the person or your relationship with the person comes through no matter what, and is like living underneath. And I think with twins, it's only more extreme.
Yeah, yeah. And Jake and Pico, going off of that, how did you connect with the story? I don't know if y'all are twins, if you have twins in your family, or, how did you kind of connect with, yeah, it's a thriller, but, I believe it kind of ultimately is about the relationship between the two siblings.
In real life, Pico's character is a lot like me, and I'm a lot like Pico's character.
That's right.
Wait, is that true?
No.
Yeah, and we're both twins.
Breaking news, twins. Yeah, but like, how did you, connect with, just this kind of storytelling? And what do you think is, the fascination with twins that people have sometimes? I feel like a lot of the times when the subject of twins comes up, people start getting, not freaked out, but they get really invested in it, or it's like something that doesn't really, you don't really think about until it's in your face in this interesting way. But how, tell us about, your connection and, just how you use your own relationships to, kind of navigate through this story.
Pico, you going first?
Take it away, Jake.
Okay. Well, I guess the short film really blew me away. It was I loved how unique and wonderfully odd the style was, and really was excited to be part of a movie that was that style. I've never had the opportunity before, and feel really grateful that they had me along for the ride. And as far as twins goes, I don't know. To be honest with you, my relationship with the concept of twins has become more personal in the last year. My baby sister just had twin boys. Shout out to Abe and Sam. So that's all I can really think about when you ask me about twins right now, to be honest.
Cool.
Congrats.
What about you, Pico?
Thank you.
Much like Jake, I also saw the short film and was totally blown away. It was unlike anything I'd ever really seen. So that was what I watched before I met with Erin. And then when we met for coffee and just got into the material and started talking it through, we just clicked. And yeah, it was really great working with Erin, and she really gave me a lot of license to make kind of wacky decisions, and it was just a very just like a positive, creative environment, Mm-hmm. And as far as twins go, I don't know. I think if you when you have someone who looks just like you and you see them all the time, you might really want to be, you'd be motivated to find out who you are, and in that way, I feel like that's sort of what the movie is about. It's about identity. I feel like the closest experience that people who don't have twins might have is kind of looking in the mirror for answers. Like if you look at yourself in the mirror for a long time, and you hope that by doing so you might figure out who you are. But those things really exist, under the skin in that way. So, yeah, I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. It's a great way to wrap up this wonderful conversation. Thank y'all so much for A Superior film. Oh God, that was so trash. I'm sorry.
Nice.
But
Nice.
thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Dino.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you so much.